Jamie's 2 and Frank will be 3. And we have a form that we're going to elaborate on what we evaluated Jonathan with, and then also his storytelling techniques. So I will go first for Jonathan. Jonathen, I like that saying, nothing to it, but just do it. But to do it, and with your icebreaker speeches are hard, even if you're just starting Toastmasters, but because you're opening up yourself and you're sharing some personal things. And so I thought you did great. You got up there, you conquered it, and you spoke about your life. I'm going to say a little bit more. I'm going to elaborate on that a little bit more. So what I was evaluating you on was vocal variety. So with vocal variety, I think at first you seemed like you were nervous. If you take a pause and take a deep breath, and then just act like you're all kids. Just let go. And the vocal variety, I have a soft voice too, so it's hard for people to hear me. But I think you can work a little bit more on your vocal variety. And then eye contact, I noticed you were just looking straight ahead. And then you looked once to me. So I think just with eye contact, look around the room a little bit more. Gestures, you used some of them, but I noticed I do the same thing that you did. I hold my hands in front of me, so I do that too. But just let go like that, you did use very good hand gestures though, but maybe just a little bit more, but I thought you did good on that. And then I was just gonna suggest something, like for props, it would have been kind of funny if you brought some food. And then brought some weights for training, and you could have lifted those up. That would be cute. And I wanted to, the ending, what I really liked, your ending, you did an excellent job, your organization of your speech. You gave us your background, then growing up, the values that your dad taught you, and then the places, all the different places that you moved to, and what you experienced. And then at the end, you really have good humor too, so I really enjoyed that. And then at the end, you talked about the cork in your mouth and taking it out. And that was really funny too. Yeah, you could have brought a cork too, but you did an excellent job, and you really had it organized. I'm an organizer, and you had it from the beginning, your background, you gave us some points, and then you gave us a good conclusion to end with something. And I really love nothing to it but to do it, to just do it. Sometimes we're afraid of doing things in life. I mean, all of us have been afraid, fearful of doing something in life, and it's like, you just got to get up there and do it. And you conquered it, and you did it, and I really enjoyed your speech, so thank you. You're welcome. And now we have Jamie.
Jonathan, I really appreciate how much fun this speech was. This was a blast. We were laughing from the very beginning throughout the speech, but yet we still learned a lot about you, which was incredible. I was just blown away. You also started at the beginning. You told us right away what to expect, and you gave it to us. And then you closed it very nicely where we got to think about what were the takeaways so that the laughing wasn't distracting, but we were like, oh yeah, I remember that. I really appreciated that. My job today was to evaluate the clarity and the interest. Let's start with clarity. I feel like you have actually practiced the cork in the mouth thing because I felt like it was very well articulated, very projected to the group. I could tell exactly what you were saying, so I thought that was good. Some things to watch out for. Started out very nice with pace. You had purposeful pauses, and then as you went, it got faster and faster and faster. About halfway through, there were no pauses between stories. So pay attention to that because it started out really good. So I know you know how to do it. It's just nerves or something. You just got in the moment.
It's that timer that stuff.
That's a good point. Also watch the grammarian reports. I heard a lot of ahs and ums. As well as, I just said it up, as well as the word so. You use quite a bit, and I think that can help improve the time, but also just the clarity and the professionalness of your speaking. The second thing is interest in storytelling. It's hard sometimes when you've been with a group for a while and you've been in Toastmasters for a while, to remember to take a step back, to go back to the icebreaker. And I really appreciated that you did, because I learned a lot about you. And I thought that's the funnest part about Toastmasters for me, so I appreciate that you did that. You had several very interesting stories, and they, for the most part, flowed very smoothly and kept us laughing. I feel like they really tied everything together. Couple of stories that I really appreciated. The how you're going to pay for it. I feel like everyone was smiling and nodding like, yes, I've had that conversation before. So I really liked that. And then the I didn't drop out, I just didn't go. Even though hopefully not many of us dropped out of college or didn't go, we still all know that feeling of like, oh my God, I'm getting C's and D's, I'm not doing enough, and no one tells you that that's common in college. So I feel like that was really relatable as well. There were some stories to think about that just didn't seem to fit. The food was a huge tie-in, everyone was related, but I didn't hear a story there. And I was kind of like, oh, I want to hear this story, because I love food. And then your friend Coffee, how do you tie that in with the storytelling, where he said you're not really good at storytelling? So I just didn't get that tie-in. So think about that whenever you add a story, especially when you have a lot of stories. Overall, though, I was blown away. Either your friend Mr. Coffin was wrong when he said you're bad at stories, or you improved a lot. Because it was a lot of fun, I got to know a lot about you, and the stories were excellent. I loved it.
I'm Frank, and I'll be focusing on audience awareness. Now, for this, I watched that you included humor in your speech, and you paused and waited for the audience laughter and allowed it to happen, and then when it ended, you continued on. And then, I noticed that in the beginning, but towards the end, you possibly got some unexpected laughter. You noted it, but you continued to speak. You didn't give them a pause at that point. So, and again, it sounds like you were watching the time and wanted to complete the stuff, so that's something to be aware of. And also, for comfort level, I watched your voice and use of crutch words, because that sometimes comes out and it displays how comfortable you are up there. Sometimes we're comfortable, but it's still a work in progress. You had some stuff. You used your hands, but you also had a resting spot, and you plunged them, very little, but they had a resting that showed some tension, I think, when you were speaking. So that's a note of your comfort level during your speech. And also for storytelling, it says that you can develop characters to reflect how you are. And so I didn't see that in some of the characters you brought in that you could have. Your grandfather was an artist, and there was a description there of a person, but maybe the coffin person, I didn't understand, or didn't get much information on him, so that would be something to include. This is my personality, this is his personality, this is how we got along, and this is how we connected. So, good speech, and I enjoyed it. And then you get to respond.
I get to respond.
Yeah, 1 minute.
That's not going to be enough. I appreciate all the feedback. I think nothing you told me I would disagree with at all. I know especially with the monotone and the eye contact, that's definitely, I think, that whole Finnish heritage coming out again. It's like, what is the joke? It's like, how do you know if a Finlander is being bold or something like that? Well, they're looking at your shoes rather than the ground. Or, so that's something I continue to struggle with. Definitely, Donald or Coffin, I would have liked to develop him more, but it was just the time. Indeed, years later, we're still really good friends. I consider him definitely one of my better friends, even though time and distance and all that, we don't talk as much as we used to. But he did tell me years later that I had definitely improved my storytelling quite a bit. But I appreciate his honesty back then and just being pretty forthright and being like, well, you had to understand he was from New Orleans and that southern charm, that southern directness. But overall, I do appreciate all of the comments and the feedback and look forward to incorporating that into future speeches.
Thank you, Jonathan. And now it's time for the audience. Would anyone like to comment?
Jonathan, I've heard you speak many times, and I always love it. You're calming yet entertaining and really great. What I would recommend is go back and look at the video. So that's one of the benefits of Saturday night. Go back and look at the video and You do have a speech pattern that you do where you repeat words. And sometimes it's just comes out more and more than other times. And it's very subtle, but just watch that, and maybe that's something to watch for in the future.
Anyone else? Yes?
Jonathan, try to have a little more fun. Don't be so, just kind of bring it out a little bit, because you gotta have fun, because you said you were a cook, you went to school and all this other stuff. Talk about the school stuff, that kind of, you know, how that was connected, you know, how they intertwined, because there's advice in that, like you said in your speech title, advice to live by, and when you were in school, so there might be some things in there too.
Anyone else? Pat?
Oh, I'm saying, well, I mean, I a little bit disagree, Chris. I think he would look like he was having fun and maybe just ready to burst a little bit more, but that's just my perception. One suggestion I might have, and maybe is just to move around a bit more, purposeful steps, you know, just to exemplify a couple different points, maybe before, during, after, I don't know, something like that.
Go for it.
Jonathan, what I like about your speech is the two words you use, how you gonna pay for that. And you repeated that and you made a story on that. That was great. And another one, your gym teacher was taught, what is that word? The gym teacher told you, like, you don't like it, but you have to
Just do it. Oh.
just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing to it but to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
That also very effective because those words you remember in your real life. If you had divided those two in equal story and conclude with these two story in your life, that would be one of the best ever great speech for you. So try to work on that. Make two small story on that life lesson words. That would be the great speech.
Thank you, and our time is up now. Thank you for all the feedback.